Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. If you truly believe your dua is never wasted, it is heard, it is recorded, and it will come to you at the perfect moment, in the perfect way. But sometimes, my brothers and sisters, we forget that there are keys Allah has placed in our hands. Keys that open the doors to what we are asking for. Today, I want to tell you about one of those keys. A short surah in the Quran, so simple, so easy to repeat, yet so powerful that if you truly understood its meaning, you would never let a day pass without it. And if you repeat it with faith 5 times a day, it could change everything you have been asking Allah for. But before I tell you which surah it is, let's pause and look at the world around us. Somewhere in Gaza tonight, a mother is holding her child close, whispering a prayer under the sound of shelling, asking Allah for safety. In Indonesia, a young man walks out of yet another failed job interview, his lips quietly moving with words of hope, asking Allah for a way forward. In Sudan, a farmer stares at his dry, cracked land and prays for rain to fall before his crops die. Different languages, different struggles, but the same turning of the heart to the same Creator. And this is not new. Long before our time, a man of God found himself in the most hopeless of situations. Prophet Yunus, swallowed by a whale, surrounded by darkness. The darkness of the sea, the darkness of the night, and the darkness of despair. Yet in that place where no human voice could reach another soul, his words reached the Lord of the worlds. La ilaha illa anta, subhanaka, inni kuntu minaz zalimin. There is no deity except you. Glory be to you. Indeed, I have been of the wrongdoers. It was his sincerity, his humility, and his repetition of remembrance that became the light in that darkness, until Allah delivered him to safety. You and I may never be in the belly of a whale, but we know the feeling of being trapped. By problems, by fears, by needs we cannot fulfill. And Allah, in His mercy, has given us a way out. Before we continue, type, Ya Allah, accept my dua in the comments. Let this be your first act of faith today. And tell me in the comments, what is one thing you've been asking Allah for lately? Let this space be filled with dua so that we can make it together. Before starting this video, don't forget to like this video, because it gives us a lot of strength to continue sharing beneficial content. And I invite you to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay informed of our next publications on the Islamic faith. Share it with your loved ones and leave a comment to tell me what you think. Thank you and good video. Step 2. Reveal the surah and its virtues. The surah I'm speaking about is one that many of us memorized as children, often without realizing the depth of what we hold. It is Surah Al-Ikhlas, just 4 short verses. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Say, He is Allah, the One, Allah, the Eternal Refuge. He neither begets nor is born, and there is none comparable to Him. The Prophet Muhammad described this surah as equivalent to 1/3 of the Quran in meaning and virtue. In one authentic narration, a man was overheard repeatedly reciting Surah Al-Ikhlas in every prayer. When asked why, he said, "Because it describes the most merciful, and I love to recite it." The Prophet responded, "Tell him that Allah loves him." Think about that. Loving this surah, loving its meaning, is a path to earning Allah's love. And if you earn His love, What could you possibly ask for that He would not give you in the best way? I remember speaking to a sister in Nigeria who was battling a severe illness. The treatments were painful, the nights long. But she told me that every day, after each salah, she would sit and recite Surah Al-Ikhlas 3 times, then make dua with tears in her eyes. She said, "Even before my health improved, I felt healed in my heart. My fear faded, my trust grew, and somehow Allah opened the way to a treatment that worked." This is not just about words. It's about what happens when those words flow from the depths of the heart. And we see the same principle in the Quran. Look at Prophet Zakaria, an elderly man with a barren wife, longing for a child. Logically, it seemed impossible. But he kept turning to Allah over and over in quiet supplication. His dua was not just a one-time request. It was a steady stream of remembrance and hope. And then, in Surah Maryam, Allah says, "O Zakaria, indeed, we give you good news of a boy whose name will be Yahya." 19:7. His persistence in dua, his repetition of calling upon Allah was part of the miracle. So when you repeat Surah Al-Ikhlas 5 times a day, not as a mechanical act, but with the intention of affirming Allah's oneness, seeking His mercy, and placing your trust in Him, you're walking the same path as those whose du'as were answered in remarkable ways. If you're still watching, comment Bismillah, because today might be the start of your answered du'a. And tell me in the comments, has there been a time when repeating a verse or surah brought peace to your heart? Share your story. You never know who might be inspired by it. Step 3. How to repeat the surah 5 times a day. Now that we know the surah, the question is, how do we make it a daily habit? One that sticks. The easiest way is to tie it to something you already do without fail. And for most of us, that's the 5 daily salah. Here's the method. Fajr. As soon as you finish your prayer, stay seated. Recite Surah Al-Ikhlas 3 times. Close your eyes for a moment and make a heartfelt dua, Dhikr. Right after your prayer, before you rush back to work or school, take 1 extra minute. Recite the surah 3 times and ask Allah for one specific thing you need that day. As'ar. This is often the midday slump. Use the recitation to recenter yourself spiritually before continuing your tasks. Maghrib. Sunset is a time of reflection. Recite the surah, remembering that every day is 1 day closer to meeting Allah, and that your dua is an investment for both worlds. Isha. End your night with it, and let your last conscious words before sleep be the praise of Allah's oneness. This is called habit stacking, attaching a new habit to one you already have. And because salah is fixed, it becomes the perfect anchor for this surah's repetition. You can also add it to moments like after wudu, before starting your workday, before opening your phone in the morning, or just before bed. Let me share with you the story of Amir, a 12-year-old orphan in northern Syria. Every day after Fajr, he sits on a small prayer mat in the corner of his shelter. He recites Surah Al-Ikhlas 5 times, then makes dua for his safety, for the return of his missing brother, and for a chance to go back to school. He told a volunteer, "I feel like Allah is listening to me when I say it, like the angels write it down right away." His situation hasn't changed overnight, but his heart is stronger and his hope is alive. And that in itself is an answered prayer. We also see this principle in the Quran. When Musa, was commanded to face Pharaoh, the most powerful ruler of his time, he didn't rely on his own strength. He prayed repeatedly, "Rabbi shrah li sadri, wa yassir li amri, wahlul uqdatan min lisani, يفقه قولي. My Lord, expand for me my chest, and ease for me my task, and untie the knot from my tongue, so they may understand my speech. 20:25 to 28. This was not a one-time dua. It was consistent, intentional, and heartfelt, just like our repetition of this surah should be. So I want you to do something with me right now. Pause and say Surah Al-Ikhlas once, out loud if you can. Let this be your first step toward the 5-a-day habit. Tell me in the comments, which prayer time do you think will be easiest for you to start this habit with? Write it down. Sometimes, committing it in words is the first step to making it real. Step 4. The spiritual science of repetition. There's a reason Allah tells us to remember Him often. Not once, not occasionally, but constantly. Repetition in worship is not about mindless routine. It's about tazkiyah, the purification of the heart. Every time you repeat a surah like Al-Ikhlas, you're polishing your heart, just as a stone is polished by a river's flow over time. At first, it may seem like nothing is changing, but with each repetition, you remove a layer of rust from your soul. When you repeat words of truth, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, you are reinforcing the foundation of your faith. You're training your heart to instinctively turn toward Allah in moments of fear, sadness, and joy. Even modern science reflects this wisdom. Psychologists talk about neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself through repeated thoughts and actions. Just as an athlete trains the same movement until it becomes second nature, repetition of Quranic verses builds spiritual reflexes. Over time, you won't have to think about remembering Allah. Your heart will do it automatically. I once spoke to Emily, an American revert who struggled with severe anxiety. She told me that she would wake up in the middle of the night with her heart racing and thoughts spiraling. One day, a friend advised her, when it happens, start reciting Surah Al-Fatiha over and over. At first, she was skeptical, but she tried it. Night after night, she whispered the verses, slowly, with focus. Over time, she found that not only did her panic attacks lessen, but during the day, she felt calmer and more grounded. She said, "It's like my mind has learned to go to Allah first, before fear takes over." This is exactly what Allah teaches in Surah Al-Muzammil, where He commands the Prophet to stand in prayer at night and recite the Quran with measured recitation. The verse says, "Indeed, the hours of the night are more effective for concurrence of heart and tongue and more suitable for words." 73:6. Why? Because in those quiet hours, without distraction, repetition penetrates the heart more deeply. It's steady, focused, and transformative. Repetition also purifies your intention. The first time you recite a surah, you might be thinking of your worldly needs. By the 5th, 10th, or 50th time, you start to focus less on getting something from Allah and more on simply being close to Him. That's when dua becomes not just a request, but an act of love. So don't underestimate the spiritual science behind repeating a short surah daily. It's not just about the words leaving your lips. It's about shaping your heart to recognize its creator in every breath you take. Write this in the comments as a reminder to yourself. I will remember Allah in ease and in hardship. And tell me, do you feel calmer after repetitive recitation? How has it changed your days? Your answer might give someone else the motivation they need to start. Step 5. Stories of du'as being answered. Sometimes, the hardest part of making du'a is the waiting. We live in a world of instant messages and same-day deliveries. But du'a works on Allah's timing, and His timing is always perfect. Let me tell you about Hamid, a farmer from Pakistan whose home and crops were destroyed in the floods of 2022. For months, he and his family lived under a makeshift shelter made from plastic sheets. Every day, after each salah, Hamid would recite Surah Al-Ikhlas 3 times and ask Allah for a roof that would not leak when the rains came again. It wasn't an overnight miracle. Weeks passed. Then one morning, a team of volunteers arrived in his village with materials for small brick houses. Hamid's was among the first built. When asked how he felt, he smiled and said, "I've been thanking Allah for this house long before I saw it. I knew He would send it when the time was right." This kind of faith, the kind that holds steady through the long nights, is exactly what we see in the Quranic story of Prophet Ayub, as this says. For years, he endured severe illness, the loss of his wealth, and even the loss of his children. Yet he never stopped remembering Allah. His dua was not filled with complaints, but with patience and surrender. And then, when Allah's perfect moment came, he said, "Strike the ground with your foot. This is a cool bath and a drink." 38 and 42. With one command, years of hardship turned into a chapter of healing and restoration. Ayub A.S. teaches us that repeated remembrance during hardship doesn't just keep you connected to Allah. It transforms you so that when the blessing arrives, you are ready to receive it with gratitude, not entitlement. When you repeat a surah like Al-Ikhlas daily, you're not just making a request, you're building a relationship. You're telling Allah, "I'm here, I trust you. I will keep calling upon you until you open the door, and even after that." That's why I want you to remember, unanswered does not mean ignored. It often means not yet. Because what you're asking for is still being prepared for you, or you are still being prepared for it. If you have a story of your dua being answered, share it below. It might inspire someone's faith today. And tell me, which prophet's story of answered dua inspires you the most? Step 6. Final call to action and dua. We've reached the end of our journey together in this video. But the real journey begins now, with you. We've learned that the surah is Al-Ikhlas. We've seen its virtues in the Sunnah, how it affirms the oneness of Allah and how it's beloved to Him. We've discovered a simple but powerful method. 5 times a day, after each salah, recite it with intention, not as a formality, but as a declaration of faith and trust. We've seen how it can be stacked into your daily habits, how it purifies the heart through repetition, and how it strengthens patience until Allah's perfect timing arrives. So here's your challenge. Start today, not tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't promised. The doors of dua are open right now. You could be one sincere recitation away from a turning point in your life. I want us to end this video with a collective dua. Wherever you are, whether you're on your phone, your laptop, or just listening with your eyes closed, join me now. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ya Allah, you are Al-Ahad, the One, the Eternal Refuge. We turn to you with our needs, our fears, our hopes. Accept the duas of everyone listening right now. Heal the sick among us, guide the lost among us, provide for the struggling among us, and protect the vulnerable among us. Ya Allah, grant us patience in hardship and gratitude in ease. Open for us doors of goodness that we could never have imagined, and make our hearts firm in your remembrance until the last moment of our lives. Ameen. Allah Himself promises in the Quran, "Call upon me, I will respond to you." Surah Ghafir 40:60. The promise is not just for the prophets, not just for the pious elders. It is for you, right now. So here's what I want you to do. Right now, comment, "Ya Allah, grant us what is best." Let's end this video together in dua. And tell me in the comments, will you commit to 7 days of Surah Al-Ikhlas 5 times daily? Write yes, so we can hold each other accountable. And if you say yes, I want you to picture all of us, thousands of people reciting together across the world. Our voices joining in the unseen, our du'as rising together. The journey begins with one step. Take it today.